The State of the City Address is one of the most informative events we have all year. Buda City staff and leadership work throughout the year to be as transparent as possible about the city's business. This event gives them another opportunity to shine a light and provide a status report on the city's activities. Buda Mayor Lee Urbanovsky, Mayor Pro Tem Evan Turi, and City Manager Micah Grau have all the details for us. Today, it is my privilege to introduce our City Manager. So leading off today will be Buda City Manager Micah Grau. Micah officially took the reins as Buda City Manager in June of 2022, after having served as interim City Manager for several months. Prior to that, he had served as Buda's Deputy City Manager and Assistant City Manager. Before joining Buda staff, Micah served in the city of Hutto in various capacities, including as Director of Finance, Assistant City Manager, and Interim City Manager. He also has served in leadership positions with Texas City Managers Association and is a member of the International City Managers Association. He is a certified mediator and an ICMA credentialed manager. Grau earned his Bachelor of Arts in Political Science from Texas A&M University and his Master of Public Administration degree from Texas State University. Let's give Micah a warm welcome.
Michelle, thank you for the introduction and for the wonderful work that CASA does to support kids in the foster care system. My wife Mallory is actually a CASA advocate, so I've seen firsthand the important work that CASA does here in Buda and throughout the state, and the city is proud to partner with CASA as one of our city's human service grant partners. With it being just a week away until Thanksgiving, there is much to be thankful for here in Buda. It has been my pleasure to serve the city of Buda since 2017 and as city manager for a little over a year now. And I'm thankful for the trust that the city council has put in me and the wonderful staff that serve the community each and every day. One of the things that makes my job a lot easier is having clear direction and consensus from city council. To provide this direction, in 2021, the Buda City Council adopted a new strategic plan that created a new vision and mission for the city. I'll let the mayor speak about the vision, but as an organization, we talk about the mission regularly. The Buda City government mission is to provide exceptional municipal services, intentional growth, invest in the future, engage our community, provide outstanding customer service, and to be business friendly. We take this mission very seriously and keep these principles at the front of all of our decision making, including and most especially during our budget process that we recently completed. Each one of our budget requests is tied to one of our council priorities, and we even tie our agenda items to each one of the city council's mission and goals of the strategic plan. The two assistant city managers charged with helping me accomplish this mission and guide the day-to-day management of the city of their respective departments are Wendy Smith, who joined us this past November from her role as city manager with the Village of the Hills, and Lindsay Baker, who joined us in July from her role as Assistant City Manager with the City of South Lake Tahoe in California. Both of y'all are here, so would y'all please stand and be recognized. After I was appointed City Manager last year, I had several friends that said, "Micah, what is a city manager? What do you do exactly?" Which I guess they don't talk about how cities work in government classes very often. I tell them that being a city manager is like running several different companies simultaneously. The services offered by our wastewater department are very different than those offered by our parks or library department. Wendy is responsible for the departments of development services, capital projects, facilities, and public works. Lindsay oversees the areas of communications, destination services, parks and recreation, library, and information technology. Our city attorney is Alan Bjorquist, who's the owner of the Bjorquist Law Firm. That's a contract position that serves our city as a contract attorney. And while this shows our formal org chart, We have also established cross-departmental teams that work on organizational needs within the organization, and I'll talk about that more in a second. The two assistant city managers and I are supported by a wonderful and talented group of departmental directors and a chief of police. Those of y'all that are here, I think y'all are spread across several tables. If you'll stand to and be recognized as well. I wanted to note one or two in particular. First of all, our human resources, Vicki Fuchs, has tendered her resignation after nearly 7 years with the City of Buda. We are thankful for Vicki's professionalism, her humor, and sometimes when she has it, her patience. She has helped, I'm just kidding, she's very patient. She has helped us update and implement important personnel policies, and she helped us navigate the complexity of protecting staff during the COVID pandemic. Matthew Wright has been hired to serve as the city's next Human Resources Director and will start later this month. Matthew has an interesting background and non-traditional role in human resources. Many of you may know Matthew because he's a Buda resident and serves on our Planning and Zoning Commission, but Matthew brings over 20 years of experience from the Austin Police Department, where he has served in a number of roles, including patrol officer, training officer for the Austin Police Academy, and most recently in their Internal Affairs Division, where he has honed his human resource skills. I'd also be remiss if I didn't mention our executive assistant to the city manager's office, Isabel Fernandez. Isabel is also retiring next month after serving the city of Buda for over 13 years. Isabel created the Buda Citizens Academy program and has been an important part of the Buda family, and I wish her and Vicki the very best in their next chapter. And allow me to take a moment to talk more about our partner organizations, which you saw in our org chart. I'll highlight a few of them quickly. The Buda EDC is a terrific partner of the City of Buda, and I cannot be more proud of the work that Executive Director Jennifer Storm, the EDC staff, and the board have accomplished over the last year. They've invested in the community to help bring the new restaurants to town and activate downtown as much as possible, and they're just getting started. A number of those new restaurants are here today with Taste on Main. I saw Jeff Parks with J Park Saloon. Sorry if I'm missing any others, but again, they've added so much to our downtown area. Next, I'd like to highlight the work the EDC is doing, that the Chamber of Commerce is doing. The Chamber is helping connect and network our businesses here in Buda, and we're happy to see Buda businesses continue to grow and prosper. The Chamber also puts on several great events in the year in the community, like the recent Buda Rodeo and Fajita Fiesta. I'm thankful for the leadership of the Chamber President Colin Strother, the Chamber Board, and staff members Casey Watson and Sarah Miller, and their dedication and service to Buda. Hey CISD is another great partner, and I'm thankful for. Hey CISD has quality schools here in Buda, and they're helping prepare our future leaders here in Buda as well. The mayor will talk more about the partnerships with Hayes County when he covers our bond program, but I'd just like to say that we're thankful for their partnership and helping provide for our infrastructure and grow our parks program. Automobile pioneer Henry Ford once said, "Coming together is beginning, keeping together is progress, and working together is success." And I believe that concept is taking hold in the community, with all of our partner organizations pulling in the same direction. When that happens, big things are possible. As I mentioned earlier, when I became city manager, I created organizational teams that are focused on issues such as employee wellness and safety, operational excellence, customer service, employee engagement, technology, and emergency readiness, to name a few. The idea is that by bringing these solutions together from the staff level, it breaks down silos and helps them have more buy-in into the decisions that are made within the organization. Some of the team's accomplishments include implementing a new customer service policy, implementing safety training, and making sure that each of our facilities have adequate supplies, hosting a health fair. We've done some health-related challenges and much more. And I know you're here mostly to hear from our mayor and mayor pro tem about the big things happening in the community, so I won't go into great detail because everyone starts to go to sleep when they see a graph and numbers. But there is some good information I wanted to share. Just to show you how fast our organization has grown with the city, our staff was really a handful of employees in the early 2000s. The budget that the City Council just adopted earlier in October or September of this year, we have 147 full-time equivalent positions. And while our city population is nearing 18,000, our service population, which includes the city limits and our extraterritorial jurisdiction, is closer to 40,000. So when you think about the service area that we provide service for, it's closer to that 40,000 number. Some of our newest employees include our development project manager, Brian Dyer, who's here today as well. He was hired in January of 2023. Brian's position is jointly funded through a partnership with the Buda EDC. And his role is to help local businesses navigate the complex development regulations that a project can go from an idea and a concept to open for business. The graph here shows you our employee breakdown by departments. And you can see, as you would expect, our highest concentration is in our public safety for our police department and general government. And then if you lump together utilities, streets, and drainage, that really compiles our public works department. We expanded our public works street crew this year in order to more proactively care for our roadways and streets. This slide shows you some of our employee demographics. Many of our departments like public works, park maintenance, and even police have historically been staffed more by men than women, but we're actively working to increase the diversity within these areas. 54% of our city workforce primarily identifies as white or Caucasian, compared to 66% of the Buda's population, according to the U.S. Census. 38% of our employees identify primarily as Hispanic, compared to 39% of the population, and 7% of our employees identify as African American, compared to only 1.3% of the U.S. population here in Buda. You can also see that our average age of our employees is about 41, and our average years of service is almost 4.5. As I wrap up, I'll highlight a few of the focus items for staff over the next year. We've implemented a customer service policy that is tailored to each department and the unique services that they offer. We've also implemented a customer service survey that you can take on the city's website. There's also a link to it in any email that comes out from the city. And soon we're going to offer assistance through our city website through a new chat feature. Our organization development teams will continue to look ways for us to operate as a high-performing organization and to improve efficiency and effectiveness within our business operations. In October, the City Council adopted a new downtown master plan that will begin the steps of implementation in this next year. And it will soon be followed by a new comprehensive plan, a new land use map, and trail master plan, and a new water master plan that are also slated for council consideration in early 2024. Expect lots of construction to take place in 2024 with continued implementation of our 2021 bond program, installation of fiber service through private companies, and several new development projects that are breaking ground this next year. In the words of the late tech giant Steve Jobs, incredible things in the business world are never made by a single person, but by a team. The same is true in local government. Buda City Council, staff, our organizational teams, and city partners are focused and are doing incredible things to make the city better for the people who live, work, or play here. It is now my pleasure to introduce our Mayor Pro Tem Aaron Turi, who represents single-member District B on the City Council. Evan is a graduate of Cornell University and serves as the Chief Revenue Officer at ND Energy, an energy management company located right here in Buda on Robert S. Boulevard. He also serves as a member of the Buda Economic Development Corporation Board of Directors, and Mr. Turi was recently elected to his 4th term on City Council. So ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Mr. Evan Turi.
Thank you, Micah. And thank you to Casey, Executive Director Storm, Judge Bryant. I just want to recognize some of the folks that were speaking before. Thanks for bringing those words. And CASA, that's a great partner. I've gotten to be in the courtroom with one of my church family members and friends, and be in the courtroom when they adopted children after the recommendation and work of a CASA advocate over many years. So we're really grateful for their partnership and their work in the area. And especially City Manager Micah Grau, thank you for those words, and thank you for that time walking through that. I mean, I think it was in February, there was a new award from from the Buda Chamber, the Changemaker Award, which was given to you, and I just want to recognize and reiterate how much you've done in such a short period of time. One of those mission statements, being business friendly, has certainly been a keystone of your tenure here, and you've had such a positive impact on the Buda community by affecting change. So thank you, City Manager. I was thinking about how to kick off my section, and I thought maybe a joke would be good. I thought maybe I should set like a really high, lofty goal, like really shooting for the stars on something that's completely unattainable. So I thought, why not put them together? And I'm just gonna say, I'll be brief. That's a taller order than a Texas wind turbine, y'all. I'll try. We're here in November. There's been a lot of exciting things happening around town thanks to the efforts to improve the city's development process. That's been a key one. Work of the Buda Economic Development Corporation, work of the Buda Area Chamber of Commerce. That partnership right there has had significant impacts. That's a bit of what I'm going to walk through here. A string of ribbon cuttings, grand openings, a lot added to the employment opportunities, restaurant options, and other businesses. So here's a bit of what I'm going to go through. I'll start with Four Hands. Four Hands Furniture had a ribbon cutting and grand opening that we attended. I went too far. On the east side of I-35, right there in the Buda Midway project, if you haven't been by that space, a massive project on Firecracker Drive. Incredible project. There's a lot of other great businesses. Green Tech Renewables is one of the top U.S. distributors of solar and EV charger supplies. That's also in the Buda Midway project. Some phenomenal companies in there. But Four Hands alone was about 50 jobs to our local economy. Not all the ribbon cuttings are brick and mortar and things going vertical. Sometimes it's things going in the ground or on wires, on the lines. And this ribbon cutting was just outside the city limits, but it's really a whole area network of fiber. One was AT&T. I got to go to this ribbon cutting, and one of my comments there that I'm just going to reiterate was that we are not the Texas Innovation Corridor without the fiber upgrade. Bringing fiber to Buda is a key aspect of making our businesses competitive, also obviously quality of life, and the impact to our residents as well, our citizens. We also have Frontier coming kind of in a different part of the city. They have a lot of permits. So Frontier, AT&T, and some others as well, filling Buda with fiber. So if you're one of the business owners in the area, look out for those notices. If you sign up, basically, they let you know when they're coming. And if you look at the permits in our development services, it's all throughout the city for that fiber work. And I also want to recognize Councilor Matt Smith, who is a big proponent and has been basically cracking the whip on bringing fiber to Buda for some years. So credit to him, but also a team broadband study that the city did, and a lot of efforts to get that coming this way. There's been a lot of additions to drive-through fast food, casual dining, especially along the I-35 corridor. Dutch Brothers Coffee and Taco Clem open on the east side of Main Street. Sharks Burger is there near Stone Ridge in I-35, along I-35. They had a ribbon cutting. Progress Coffee right there on 2001 is just in the Buda ETJ, and they have this large deck, food trucks, really phenomenal space. So as far as getting your fix on the way into work, on the way back from work, or an evening out, there's been a lot of additions in this area. The additions around downtown have been huge. The Buda EDC in particular has worked hard to encourage businesses to locate in Buda, especially unique ones. The carefully curated that Executive Storm mentioned is exactly what some of these projects, some of these companies, some of these restaurants represent. Especially folks that are really making use of the historic downtown space in a way that brings life into it. If you've been around downtown, it's buzzing. It's really hard not to get a little bit of a pep in your step when you're walking around these great buildings and the activity and life of this area with J Parks, with Taste, with Meridian and Zoe Market. Meridian, serving drinks and coffee and things, but also a great music venue. Went very recently, it was more of a listening room vibe, and so it's just really unique experiences that are adding to this downtown area, adding to Buda. Buda EDC incentivized some major incentives on these projects. They assisted in covering costs related to capital investment, permit fees, some sales tax reimbursement. My wife Dahlia and I were checking our credit card statements, and we didn't really realize it at the time, but I think we put in a matching grant for all of these projects. These projects, the other ones as well. These are great places. Each of them have expanded or opened their doors on Main Street and created jobs here and added to this charm of downtown. I'll try to be aware of one of my slides in this one. I'm glad y'all all have food, or else you'd be salivating at this one. Valentina's Tex-Mex Barbecue, a regular award winner in Texas barbecue, is really a marquee project. They fell in love with Buda, the feeling's mutual. Their journey took some effort, took a few years. The Buda EDC worked tirelessly for about 2 years to get them here. And they're finally here in one of the most unique and amazing spaces in the Buda Mill and Grain, 6,500 square foot. If you haven't been, you need to go. During F1, I'm not sure that English was the most spoken language during F1 at Valentina's. The number of folks from international travels and the number of folks coming in was pretty phenomenal. The space can accommodate about 235 customers, which is vastly different than their Manchac location if you had visited them there, and it's been record sales. New businesses and bringing them is amazing, but also business retention and expansion is an important aspect of Buda EDC work and our partnership as the city with the EDC and these businesses, and looking to make sure they can expand, they can grow their existing business. So some examples of EDC incentives in this area, $75,000 was for Brooklyn Down South's replacement of the historic floors, replacing floors in that historic Main Street building, reused quite a bit of that. That's in the old Buda Grocer, if you're familiar with that. I know Commissioner Jones had frequented that for years and has told me a lot of good stories about Buda Grocer. Right around when I got there, got a little time there before. Now, a wonderful place in Brooklands. $60,000 was an incentive to longtime staple Nighthawk Frozen Foods to support their expansion. If you're not familiar with them, just north of Main Street as you're going past Bradfield Park. They've been a mainstay in the area for decades. Those were some of the larger incentives, but the small business owners and really the folks just getting their start, or the folks looking to make that next step, have been a part of one of my favorite just incentive programs that has really come to life. The Small Business Incentive Program from the Buda EDC, which is awarded $200,000 in fiscal year 2023. Also more in other fiscal years, but basically $200,000 a year to 40 small businesses for retail, restaurants, insurance, salons, up to $10,000 if you're a business owner. Hop on the Buda EDC website, take a look. A key aspect of this is workforce development. If you're looking to invest in workforce development and put some funds toward it, that's a key part of the incentive. If you're looking to add or improve your building, if you're looking to do some unique or add to your capability within your company to do better marketing, these are all parts of the small business incentive. So take a look at that. That's a bit about downtown and some of these incentives and the restaurant scene, but recreational vehicle, equipment dealers, domestic vehicle sales, and service industries have landed in Buda as well. Buda's become home to Airstream, if you've seen that rebranding from Camper Clinic to and the Blue Compass RV with sales and services. That facility is, I think for 5 years running, a top 5 or top 10 Airstream dealer in the United States. A big draw for folks. So not only can you come and eat and enjoy time here, but if you need to grab your camper and travel, you can do it all here in Buda. Recently opened also on North I-35 is RDO Equipment. That's a sales and services for John Deere and Topcon products. And they brought about 20 new jobs to the area and had a grand opening on June 1st. Subaru. I don't know how many folks here went to the grand opening. That was very recent, just opened. That's a 90,000 square foot facility, 60 service bays, now open on 12.5 acre lot on the northbound I-35 frontage road. I think Hayes CISD board member Courtney Runkle might have been the first car purchase there. Did you purchase or just perusing? It was Meredith. Did she buy? There we go, Subaru. We're buying here. It was Meredith. Thank you. But they just opened a phenomenal facility. It's a marquee Subaru project. Also adding quite a few jobs in the local economy. And they're hiring. We had our own grand openings. The city of Buda had ribbon cuttings. One was the pavilion, the second pavilion in Green Meadows Park, an additional reservation space, which was the first of the Buda bond projects from Prop B, the Parks and Rec projects, to be completed. That was very exciting as we get these bond projects, start to tick them off and complete them. That complements some other things at the park with a playground, basketball court, splash pad. And then a second was the Basil Anthony Moreau Buda Welcome Center, which is the old Buda library that there at 303 Main, which is now the Welcome Center. That's where our destination services staff welcomes visitors, creates and disseminates informational materials, our Buda swag, which we like to make a lot of, so if you haven't gotten some of that, run by and grab some. And also rental space, if you're looking to host activities and things like that. As you can see, it's a lot of development that's transpired in Buda over the past year, and we're excited to see what else is on the horizon. Thank you for the opportunity to share all these happenings with you this afternoon, and as I'm often saying, that's a long way of saying, Buda is being Buda, and we're glad to be here with you, and we're glad that you're here with us. It's my pleasure now to turn our attention to the final State of the City presenter, as well as, one of my good friends. I'll go through the resume first and then say what, my piece, but Mayor Lee Urbanovsky is a graduate of Texas A&M University. Have to pause for that. And became a resident of Buda in 2000. He and his wife Amy, who's a teacher right here nearby in the Buda schools, have 4 children. He's in development and construction, brings great experience to Buda with that background, that work day to day. And he was first elected to Buda City Council in 2016, and then in his second term and serving as mayor pro tem on the council, he ran and was elected mayor in 2020. I will say this, none of these things, like the entirety of what we've done here happens without somebody at the tip of the spear driving forward on these things. And that is this man right here, who is just quietly, consistently driving all of this forward. The partnerships, a lot of this mission statement that City Manager Grau spoke on, and getting this done. It takes somebody who's at the tip of the spear driving it, and that has been Mayor Lee Urbanowski. I'd like you to join me in welcoming him.
Always too kind. My part here. All right. First of all, thank you, Evan. Yeah. It's funny you made the joke about being brief because that's part of my world here too. Is even though you are long-winded at times, and we make jokes about having a stopwatch on the dais, and it's for public comments, public testimony. But I'm adding one for Evan because he sits next to me. Keep a stopwatch on him as well. So having you serve as my mayor pro tem makes my life easier, and it gives me confidence going forward. And we are really fortunate to have Mr. Terry. He wears wiener dog shirts and most of the time has a bow tie on. And I'm always smart enough to surround myself with smart people, and Mr. Terry is the smartest person in almost every room that he's in. So we are fortunate to have Mr. Terry with us up on council. And it is an honor to serve along Evan with our fellow council, with Monica Davison, Lavanya Horn-Williams, Terry Cummings, Matt Smith, and Paul Dodgerow. We have a good group of diverse people, and we are working hard for the city every day. Second, I want to thank everyone for coming. Before I get into that, I want to thank you for joining us today. I want to recognize my very supportive wife, Amy. She hates it when I do this, but Amy is a wonderful mother for our children, and she once again has taken time off teaching at Elm Grove Elementary School to come support me today. And today she's in the front, so she actually can throw things at me. So. But seriously, thank you. We make a great team, and you make me better at everything I do. So, as we dive deeper into this, further into the details of the state of the city, it helps reflect on the principles that guide the decisions that we make for our citizens. And I know Micah talked about it a little bit, but our mission is actually very simple. We are to provide exceptional municipal services. We are to drive intentional growth. We are to invest in the future financially responsibly, engage with our community, provide outstanding customer service, and to be business friendly. And that bodes well with the Chamber of Commerce. And every single council member is mindful of this mission. This is part of the strategic plan that we created in 2021, and it's meant to lead us through 2036. So our mission, our vision for Buda in 2036 is that Buda is a beautiful, family-friendly community with a small-town charm. Buda has a quaint, vibrant downtown with desirable neighborhoods and a diverse economy with local job opportunities. Buda residents will enjoy easy mobility, which I'll talk about in a minute, and fun experiences for all. And finally, that Buda is truly still a unique community. So as much as we are committed to this vision and the statements, we occasionally do run into some challenges. And it's almost fitting I put the state capitol up when I start talking about challenges. I want to start talking a little bit about a few recent bills that happened in the 88th Texas regular session of the Texas legislature. I am a locally elected official, and I strongly believe that it is at this level where we should make most of the decisions. I have concerns with at least 2 bills that recently passed. These bills will affect the city's ability to govern and protect the way of life that we know and love here in Buda. The first is Senate Bill 2038. So under this bill, property owners can now request to be removed from our ETJ. Once a request has been made, the city has no choice or no recourse to object or deny this removal. This is problematic because this strips the city's ability to have any control over a segment of property that sits adjacent to our city limits. And this includes water quality and tree protection and mobility. And this bill has already been impacting Buda. Milestone Community Builders have already used Milestone Community Builders. They're doing persimmon on 967 on the Armbruster curve. They've already exercised their right and used this bill to remove themselves from the ETJ. The City Council adopted a resolution on October 11th, officially recognizing the release of 450 acres of ETJ property. And then on October 17th, City Council worked to revise our term sheet, and that was how we identified what we would consider to work with to create a development agreement for Milestone for this development. But recently, this is the time frame, most recently, Milestone has agreed to our term sheet, and we will continue to negotiate a development agreement to bring this project back into the city so that we can have some control over this development. And under our new term sheet, we have capped the number of residential units at 2,300. We've set requirements for infrastructure for the property, including the timing for a roadway that goes from 967 to 1626. And we've also asked the developer to add an ASR well to meet their future water needs. Another bill is House Bill 2127, and this one is aptly known as the Death Star. Basically, it stops local governments from passing ordinances that go beyond anything allowed under state law. This bill is probably the most aggressive attempt ever by state lawmakers to weaken the municipal and county government, and it's a paradigm shift. And I say paradigm shift because just 2 sessions ago, the state previously touted that local control is the best way to govern Texans. The mindset was that local officials knew best how to address the concerns of our community, and I still believe that is the case today. But unfortunately, because this bill is so broad, we don't yet exactly know what it's going to do. But the way it's written right now, residents of Buda, of any city, they're encouraged to file a lawsuit against the city if they feel that a local ordinance conflicts with the state law. Both these bills are being challenged in the courts, and we expect that they will both make it to the Supreme Court before we actually find out the final story. All right, moving away from that. So, like Micah said, this past September, City Council adopted a budget for 2024 to meet the needs for our growing city, and that budget was $107 million. This included $53 million for capital projects related to the implementation of the bond that I'm going to talk about in a minute, and then other capital improvement projects. We've worked very hard to keep our city's commitment of exceptional service with a low tax rate. And with that, we're very especially proud to say that we still have the lowest tax rate of any full-service city in our area. I'd like to... This is when I like to remind people that the average citizen in Buda, of your property taxes, only 17% go to the city of Buda, and that's about $85 per month. There's a lot more information about our entire budget at our website at budatx.gov. So in this budget, we also address we set aside the priorities and we addressed them accordingly. So to improve mobility and infrastructure, we added a road maintenance program. We added a trail and sidewalk gap funding, and we worked on the bond implementation, which again, I'll touch on that a bit. We have improvements and repairs planned for City Park, for Garrison Park. We continue to add to our parks with the addition of the shade structure that Mr. Tree talked about. And we're making a very large investment into our own sportsplex. So community policing, I saw Chief Chief is here. Community policing is a relatively new term, but our police department is fully engaged with our citizens, and we are fortunate to have the officers that we do have, and we are proud to support them in this new budget. We continue to make progress improvements in the development department, and we are reducing our review times. Economic development, Storm talked about this one, continues to be crucial. From retail recruitment to job creation to tax dollar generators. And the city is also embarking on a 1626 corridor study to encourage what we call intentional growth in that area. The city is always looking for ways to foster and to add downtown parking in downtown on Main Street. Keeping our employees is also very important. So we have provided all employees with a 5% cost of living raise. And we have pay increases for our police department of 12% or higher. We have also bumped the minimum wage up to $18 per hour for full-time employees. And we have increased our longevity pay. So even after doing all of this, we are still supporting our Buda's public arts program. Let's talk about bonds a little bit. Now I'd like to switch gears and talk about bond 2021. So in 2021, more than 60% of the voters approved an $89 million bond package to improve local infrastructure, local transportation infrastructure, and to enhance our public parks. Proposition A was for transportation. It was for $73 million. It aimed to enhance transportation network, to alleviate congestion, to improve traffic flow, in all of our areas. So the city allocated a significant portion of this transportation bond for West Goforth and Old Black Colony Road. And these are two of the largest bond packages, or two of the largest road projects that Buda has ever taken on. These are aimed to address critical needs in these areas for new development. Again, congestion relief, drainage upgrades, and pedestrian connectivity. But before I go on a whole lot farther here, I'd like to call out, recognize Mr. Colin Struthers, who was sitting right here. So it was back in 2019, and I wrote in my notes here, one of our local establishments, I believe we were at the tavern, where we were talking about what Buda needs. And Colin called it a moonshot. And so we were talking about, we need a bond. We hadn't done a bond at that point in 4 years. It was the first one that I was actually involved in because the one that built our city hall was before me. But it was time for Buda. We were growing very fast and we needed another bond. And he called it a moonshot. And that was, in that conversation, was the expansion of West Goforth. So you can't really see it on the map, but West Goforth, widening West Goforth, that road improvement with what we're doing on the other side of Onion Creek at Cold Springs and the other bridge over Onion Creek, that's going to ultimately provide commuters another east-west connection that will take you from 1626 all the way to the freeway. So that's a large deal. That's 967 improvements. The other thing that we're working on now in that bond package was the Old Black Colony Road improvements. So that road has been undersized for a very long time. It's been a typical county road. But our team is working to schematic design on that road expansion, and then we're also trying to pull the traffic signal out of that so we can do that faster, so we can have a light at Old Black Colony in 1626. All right, so City Council also allocated a portion of the bond discretionary funds for design improvements of East Main Street. Anyone traveling over here knows that this is a significant pinch point on Main Street. This project is aimed to enhance the mobility and safety on I-35 and Firecracker. While the full build-out of this project is not yet funded, we are looking at ways to expand lanes, add capacity for an interim options for right now. Now let's look at Proposition B. Proposition B was Parks and Recreation projects, and it was at $16 million. Having quality outdoor amenities and park space is a priority for the city and our residents. Part B, prioritizes enhancing and expanding parks and recreational spaces for our entire community. Projects include the first phase of Garrison Park, expansion of Garlic Creek Trail, and the new Onion Creek Trail, and it also provides funding for a regional east side park. And like Micah said, we are all thankful for Hays County, as they have pledged over $9 million of their 2020 park bond to help us support this project. And this slide was added in today. I was flipping through when I got here. I wanted to make sure we had the right slide. So earlier this summer, this is our Garrison schematic, but earlier this summer, Buda purchased 4.5 acres at the very end of Garrison Road. I say very end because the road pretty much dies once you go across Onion Creek. But there was a funny corner there that the city was able to purchase most recently over the summer. So this property is located at the end of Garrison Road, provides the city with now continuous access all across Garrison Park. The Garrison Park property as a whole was a 40-acre property purchased in 2016, and it was meant to create a unique experience for city residents and visitors. And ultimately, we will have a regional amenity with better access to Onion Creek for kayaking and canoes and hiking and bird watching and picnics. And again, more to come on that. We've only had schematic design on what we're doing. Also part of this bond package is the Onion Creek Trail. Onion Creek Trail will run the full distance of now Garrison Park, eventually linking together Colony at Cold Springs on the other side of 967 Bridge, all the way to Stagecoach. And the purchase of this property was also made possible through support from Hays County. I want to take a minute. One thing about this bond package I wanted to highlight was the exceptional effort that has been made by our city staff, volunteers of the Buda Bond Oversight Committee, and our consultants of the Bond Program Management, WSB Engineering, to connect with residents who are being affected directly by this project to educate Buda as the projects come along and its construction starts. Like Micah said, in 2024, you're going to see a lot of dirt turning, a lot of things happening. So if you can, go check out the budabonds.com website. There's a link on there for fund transparency where you can go into individual projects and see what money's been allocated for these projects. And the team also disseminates a project dispatch newsletter. Back to the budabond.com website, you can sign up for that newsletter. But moving into water. So water's been a hot topic for everyone in Central Texas. And we've made it through another cold winter with another ice storm, be it not as bad as the one we saw previously, but another ice storm. And then the summer brought drought conditions across all of Texas, including Buda. But we are fortunate because of our diversified water portfolio, the city has been able to weather these extreme conditions better than most. So the city's main water source is from GBRA, it's the Guadalupe Blanco River Authority through Canyon Lake, which is now in the stage 2 reductions. Although it is at an all-time low, Canyon Lake is still 65% full. And by comparison, some other lakes in our area, like Lake Travis, is only 35% full. Our second main source of water is groundwater from Edwards Aquifer, and it's nearing historic lows as well. And the city has curtailed their pumping in our own wells by over 30% to reduce the impact on the drought on this aquifer. And the next sources, if you see the pie chart, the next sources of water will eventually come from Alliance Regional Water Authority, which continues to make progress on their $325 million project to pipe groundwater from the Carrizo Wilcox Aquifer on the other side of Lockhart to cities and suppliers along I-35. So this project is expected to start delivering water in 2024 and will deliver water starting in 2025 directly here to Buda. So I've taken out some of the charts as far as the pie charts and the numbers. I am a numbers geek, but I did like this one. I want to talk about this a little bit. So Buda recently became only the 5th water system in the state authorized to use for public consumption via aquifer storage recovery. So we've said ASR, people throw around the term ASR all the time. That's aquifer, I can't say it, the ASR well. So this was a $1.9 million project that began design in 2018. and received approval from the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality to operate in a water system last November. This project will allow the city to store water. It seems conceptually difficult, but we're literally storing water in the ground. When we can, we have times of access so we can pull it out in times of drought and our emergencies. And this will further strengthen our resiliency as a water system. And since coming online, the city has been able to store water in our ASR, and we hope to continue to do that over this winter. And just for reference, the Cabela's water tower that everyone sees is 1 million gallons. Since last November, we've been able to store 20 million gallons in our ASR well, and we believe that there's upwards of 100 million gallons in capacity at that one location. So let's talk about development. This year, the city has seen about 60 applications related to zoning, development, subdivisions, LOIs, special use, and site plans, and we average about 90 per year, and that's trend to staying solid. This does not give justice to all the inquiries, all the random questions, the development review committee meetings that we've held over the past year. I've said it in the past, and this still stands true. There are very few pieces of property in Buda that don't have some sort of conceptual idea on them right now today. And this slide is on purpose to be kind of full and busy, but Buda's issued a number of certificates of occupancy in 2023. Mr. Turi talked about a few of them, but if you see that chart, there's over 40 CFOs that happened in the city of Buda this year. We had everything from renovated Speedy Stop store, gas station, car wash, the RDO John Deere dealership, coffee shops, and all the wonderful restaurants on Main Street. There are more developments coming on the horizon. Some of the residential developments that we've already talked about in previous years that are still in the works are the Porches of Dupree, the Colony at Cold Springs, Firecracker Row, Persimmon, Green Meadows Townhomes, Sunfields, Alpine Multifamily, Sunfields Slate, and Hillside Creek Subdivision. Now let's take a closer look at a few of these. So Stonefield 35 Industrial Park is sitting on 23 acres. It's located northeast intersection of I-35 and Hillside Terrace. This has 3 industrial office type warehouses producing 27,000 square feet of office space and 247 square feet of warehouse space. This project is under construction and near completion at this time. Other warehouse ventures, and this doesn't give it justice because it's a monster. Other warehouse ventures are coming on board in the city that will bring in more employment opportunities and hopefully more tax generation. Trained developers are working on 5 building warehouse complex that's situated south of West Goforth and between I-35 and Loop 4, with street entries on West Goforth and I-35 frontage. These buildings comprise almost 1 million square feet, and the first buildings will be online the first quarter of 2024. So Ashera Properties is working on a new development called The Well. It's at 1835 Main Street. The project will entail 31,000 square feet of retail space consisting of a 2-story building, a strip center, and a single tenant building site. So the anticipated completion for the first building in this site is later in 2024, and that is right on Main Street, kind of across the street from Willie's. So Buda Crossing at Old San Antonio Road and Cabela's Drive will consist of 2 multi-unit commercial buildings for retail and restaurant space. That development is permitting and is under construction now. And yes, that is the project that's sitting next to the old Arby's. So we have a number of projects that are ramping up that we anticipate breaking ground, and you'll see more on in 2024. Azure Modern Living is a development that is under review and proposes a 4-story mixed-use building that's located on 2 acres at 221 East Main Street. The building will have 8,000 square feet of retail and commercial space on the first floor and 58,000 square feet of multifamily space on the top 3 floors. Azure will be one of the very first true vertical mixed-use projects we've seen in Buda in quite a long time. Buda Gateway. Again, the renderings of this building look very impressive. But Buda Gateway is a development on 48 acres. It's the northeast corner of South Loop 4 and Robert S. Light. It proposes to have 5 industrial warehouse buildings, and they'll have combined total square footage of over 500,000. And a project very close to here to be arranged in a village format on 5.5 acres and approximately 48,000 square feet of leasable space, 7 buildings, the corner of Main, will house restaurants, outdoor dining, and retail. This mixed-use project will be situated at the corner of Main and Firecracker, and hopefully we'll start to see some tenants early in 2025. The last one for today is West Oak. So West Oak is a proposed 44-acre development that's located on 1626 near Cold Springs. It'll have, the commercial space will make up about 16 of those acres. This would include 54,000 square feet of retail space, 19,000 square feet of restaurant space, and 12,000 square feet of entertainment space, along with 600 multifamily units sitting in the back. This project is still going through the development process, and they are expecting to come to a development agreement maybe as early as next month. So these are just a few of the exciting things that we have on the horizon. There are many other in early stages that we'll get to next year, and you might see some stuff jump online. I wanted to, it's my last slide, just a warning. I want to touch on a concept here that I thought was appropriate. So I recently reread a book called Good to Great by Jim Collins. And I felt that a section of this book related very well with what we're doing and what we're accomplishing here in Buda. And I like the quote. You can read it with me. It's, the flywheel effect is a metaphor for the cumulative impact of sustained efforts and strategic initiatives over time. It emphasizes the idea that consistent, well-aligned actions can generate momentum, making it easier for an organization to achieve its goals. So imagine with me for a second, a very large, heavy flywheel. Initially, it requires a lot of work and a lot of energy to set the wheel in motion. But more and more people and departments and organizations, including inside, outside entities, get in line, working together, the wheel begins to turn. And with continuous application of force, this leads to increased speed and momentum. I believe this is true in Buda. The coordinated effort that you've heard others speak about today, over time is building momentum, and this building momentum driving positive outcomes. I invite you all to walk along Main Street on a Friday night or anytime on a Saturday. Come visit one of our upcoming events. Buda is significantly changing. Our flywheel is turning slow, but we are consistently reinforcing our shared vision and our collaborative efforts, internal and external. We are making significant progress. The sustained momentum will lead us to long-term success and resiliency for our city. And with that, I have spoke long enough, but I did want to say again, thank you all for coming today. Thank you for taking your time, having lunch with us today. I believe that the Buda's future looks bright, so thank you.